The proponents of the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, also known as the Anti-LGBTQ Bill, are fuming over the inability of Parliament to take the bill at its consideration stage. The bill seeks to prescribe LGBTQ and related activities, propaganda, advocacy for or promotion of LGBTQ and related activities.
Frustration is that this is not the first time this is happening. It's not the second time. This is the third time the Speaker has given such an instruction and it has been disregarded in his absence. We need to understand from the majority side what their issues with the bill are. We need to understand with those who take the chair when the Speaker gives the instruction what their opposition to the bill is. We are very well aware of people in leadership on the majority side who are reaching out to sponsors of the bill, asking us to step down the bill.
The National Council of the New Patriotic Party has granted a request from the party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to name his running mate at a later date other than today. According to NPP's constitution, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should have named his running mate today, 12 months clear of the next general elections.
Today should have been the day that our leader of the party and our presidential candidate should have presented his running mate to National Council. But however, upon request from the presidential candidate, that because his elections was done on the 4th of November 2023, he needs a bit of time to continue with his consultation.
The NDC is requesting government to rather introduce a quota system on imports rather than a restriction. The minority MPs have been resisting the laying of the legislative instrument on import restriction in the last 2 weeks and say their resolve cannot stand the test of time, hence a demand for citizen activism.
The regulatory framework proposed by the LI is not only opaque, but can lend itself to arbitrariness and abuse. One of the ways is to introduce a transparent quota system for the importation of certain products, as was done by the elsewhere NDC John Mahama administration in the poultry sector.
A senior political finance advisor at the International Foundation for Electoral Systems, Magnus Orman, has challenged the media and civil society to actively combat vote buying in politics. He believes that money could significantly influence the 2024 general elections if not checked.
If civil society and media does not focus very strongly on this issue, and if we cannot persuade politicians to behave differently, then I think there is a significant risk that money will play at least as big a role in the 2024 elections as they have done in the past. We would expect to see things get better. From that perspective, I have to say personally that I'm a bit disappointed that things have not got better than they have in Ghana on that particular issue.
Grave looters have allegedly invaded the Takrady cemetery and destroyed about 100 graves with some caskets missing. Meanwhile, the Sekondi Takrady Metro Authority says it intends to deal with the situation.
We are going to fix a fee, let's say maintenance fee, for people who have their graves there, both Sekondi and then Takrady, so that yearly you pay a token. When you pay the token, then we'll use that one to maintain the place. Probably if the money is there, we can even put lights over there.
Well, there's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, the New Patriotic Party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, is in search of a running mate ahead of election 2024. But as an economist himself And what will he be, in fact, looking out for? What should he be looking out for going into that particular process of consultation and then also engagement for the choice of running mate? That's the conversation. After today, we got to know from the National Council of the New Patriotic Party granting a request from the party's flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, that he needed some more time to announce the running mate for the party's ticket going into election 2024, because he was elected as flag bearer on November 4, which is a delayed period. Now, per the details of the NPP's constitution, the announcement of the running mate should have been done today. And bear in mind, tomorrow is exactly 1 year away from election 2024, December 7, 2023. So a year by this time, you're going to be preparing to go and vote. Now, this is the NPP's constitution, the details of it. I want to take a look at this. We're going to put it on the screen right now so you follow closely what the party's constitution talks about, the selection of the vice presidential candidate. Article 13.3 of the NPP constitution states, and I quote, "The party's presidential candidate shall, in consultation with the National Council, nominate the vice presidential candidate. 2, the vice presidential candidate shall be known and also active member of at least 5 years." So that's the first requirement. Shall be a known and active member of at least 5 years, and shall be nominated by the presidential candidate at least 12 months before the general elections. And that's tomorrow, 12 months. When the party is not in government or the president is not the candidate. So the last part of it is where it applies, because President Akufo-Addo is not a candidate for the NPP going into election 2024. So that announcement should have been done today. 13.3 continues. The National Council may, however, dispense with this requirement under special circumstances. So it is this clause in the Constitution, the special circumstance of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia being elected on November 4, that he's asked for more time, that the National Council has triggered this provision of dispensing with that requirement of announcing a running mate 12 clear months ahead of election 2024. So we'll see when exactly Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is going to announce his running mate. What we do know, for instance, is that for the NDC, John Mahama has stated quite clearly that he is going to announce his running mate in 2024, right? We are couple of weeks away from end of the year 2023. So we'll see how things play out. But this is Justin Kodia Frimpong, who is the General Secretary of the NPP, giving some more detail about this decision earlier today at a press conference. And I'll have 2 political scientists join us on this matter. Take a look.
It should have been the day that our leader of the party and our presidential candidate should have presented his running mate to National Council. But however, upon request from the presidential candidate, that because his elections was done on the 4th of November 2023, he needs a bit of time to continue with his consultation before he brings the proposed name for running mate to National Council.
The party also
Now, so that's the detail in there, but let's go on to Zoom now, and Professor Smart Sapong is a political scientist, going to be joining us shortly, and then also Professor Kobi Mensah is a political marketing strategist. He is a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. I'll start with you, Professor Kobi Mensah, on this. Man, you've seen this proposal or this request by Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to be giving more time in choosing his running mate. Now, if you look at how the voter choices are going to play out in election 2024. The economy is going to be a big factor in voter choice considerations in 2024. What are some of the qualities that would complement Dr. Bawumia's candidature? Because he was branded as an economist, an economic whiz kid and so on when he was brought in. And then also having been faced with what he said then when the MPP needed power and the state of the economy now. What kind of running mate quality would complement him going into 2024?
Thank you, Alfred. I think that the question about a running mate does not really center on what kind of knowledge you bring to the ticket. I think that in the past, in our election, in the processes, in our democratic processes, and in fact, in the processes elsewhere, it is not so much about what kind of knowledge or what kind of discipline or what kind of qualification one has to bring to the ticket. I don't ever remember until 2016 elections. I don't ever remember us questioning whether a certain running mate has economics or finance or law backgrounds. We have always looked at a certain level of maturity. And when I say maturity, I mean that people's appreciation of the livelihoods of Ghanaians, people's appreciation of, a certain competency in a manner that you could really take on people's concerns, what actually is the key issues, and you are able to articulate. I think that the question of economic, or if I should put it, economic degrees or discipline became center point of our election, if I can remember rightly, and if I'm right, in 2016, because that's when I actually, sort of experienced Ghanaian politics when I had been of age. Obviously, I had lived abroad for some time, so I had never experienced elections in a recent time until then. And so the question about Bawumia's, economic credentials became centerpiece. And as a result, people were expecting that other candidates have economic background. But until then, I don't think that it had become an issue. And so I don't also think that the 2024 elections, in terms of the selection of the running mate, must become a certain qualification background to qualify. I think that what qualifies someone to become a running mate is whether they have the ability to understand the situations that we're in, the times that we're in, that the person has the same wavelength of sensitivity as Ghanaians, the person has that reflection and can relate to the problems that people are going through, and as a result, take it on board in their decision making. You're looking at somebody who can actually advance the cause of the ticket, someone who could really, be connected or connect voters in a manner that would draw them closer and to win them the ticket. I think that's what matters. Perhaps the MPP communicators actually shot themselves in the foot by arguing that they had a economic qualification, someone who was partnering Nanado, and John didn't have that, and so they thought it was a big deal. Unfortunately for them, somebody would say that karma has had its way, and none of the candidates that are being talked about has an economic background. So you would argue that they shot themselves in the foot by putting up that particular argument. And I had said then that running mates are not selected based on qualifications or a discipline that the person was in. It is purely someone who can relate to the issues and could serve better with a ticket. Now, lo and behold, 4 years down the line, they find themselves having, to deal with a running mate. Unfortunately, none of the front runners has an economic background. I don't think so. And so I don't think that we should use 2020 or 2016 as a benchmark,
right,
by saying that because people were saying a certain candidate had economic background, they should have another. The other party has to have another economic background. It does not matter.
I see.
What matters is that the candidate could relate to the issues. They could work better with the top of the ticket, and they could bring down the vote, or they could bring in the vote needed for them to win the ticket.
Professor Comments, and hold on a bit for me, because you talk about the front runners, because there are some names that have come up, and we'll get to that shortly. Let me bring in Professor Smart Sapong as well, who's joined us on Zoom. Professor Smart Sapong, thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Now, the talk about the running mate choice of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, clearly, he is going to be looking down south, and that goes without saying, isn't it? That is, if he's going to go by the same process of, consideration in the past of choosing a running mate that would have complement the flag bearer in terms of the regional representation and so on. So saying he's going to look down south, it goes without saying, is it not? If you can unmute for me, yes.
Yes, a very good evening to your good self, and then good evening to our cherished viewers. You are right, Alfred, to say that his choice is limited to candidates or possible candidates that are down south. I think if he's supposed to do anything different, that would be something strange to all of us. So he's limited. I've small study I'm doing into the possible candidates, and many who have refused to stick their heads to a certain name simply say any Southerner. I have some who say any Ashanti. I have some who say particular names. Yeah, but I think any Ashanti for now is leading, and I'm sure the party people who are proposing same to me are thinking about tickets that will complement the northern and then the southern pattern that has characterized our politics in recent times.
I see. You talk about, based on your study, at least the people you've interacted with say that any Ashanti, that's the leading consideration.
Yeah, that's the leading.
And why do they say so?
Well, they think the Ashanti region is a stronghold, and getting a candidate from here can motivate the people to come out in their numbers to vote. Like we all know, it comes down to numbers, and so that will be a very good reason why many think any Ashanti can complement the ticket.
I see. But there's also another consideration that some others have proposed, that if not the Ashanti region, he should be looking at the swing regions as well, Central region, Western region, Greater Accra. Is it one that you subscribe to as well?
Personally, I do not have a view on the matter, because it is a personal title of the elected flag bearer to do so. But I mean, I think any Ashanti or anybody from the south will do. For the swing regions, because of the outcome of election in 2020, some of the swing regions have become more complicated than we all thought they were. And so thinking that a ticket from there would give you a vote perhaps may be a wrong calculation. But as for the Ashanti region and the Eastern region, you know that constantly, at least, they are always on the side of the NPP. At least the majority of them are always on the side of the NPP. But I told you earlier that there are about 110 safe seats for the NPP, and 43 of them are in Ashanti region. In fact, there's a certain 30 of them that, come what may,
right,
it goes to them along with other safe seats.
I say, so you talk about the fact that the people, based on the study you are doing now, majority of the respondents say any of the names that have come up from the Ashanti region, they will go for it. And we have about 6 names that have been widely published as possible running mate choices for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We also have information that a number of them have started their own lobbying in various ways to catch the eye of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Here are a number of them. Take a look at this. And interestingly, the names, majority of them are from the Ashanti region. So it points to something that you talked about. Oseche Mensah Bonsu, MP for Suame constituency, is the majority leader in this. He was in seven-time member of parliament, still in this 8th parliament. There's an indication that he's not going to contest again. There are reports that his constituents want him to contest again. We'll see what happens. He's an urban planner, Christian, 66 years old, majority leader in this 8th parliament. He's number one. Second person, Kwabena J. Japong. He joined the speculative names not too long ago. Recently, we've seen him with Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in a number of places, getting out of helicopter and all those places, things. Some videos that have gone around. After his failed bid as flag bearer, he has sort of come to the realization that he has to support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and so his name came up. There have been publications and articles about him as choice for running mate. That's the person in there, former General Secretary, unsuccessful flag bearer aspirant, civil engineer, also from the Ashanti region as well, 63 years Christian. Let's go to the next one. Then Kennedy Japan is out of the Ashanti consideration, Central region. He only came up because of his showing, impressive showing in the flag bearer race of the MPP on November 4, coming second to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He's represented two constituencies, Asin Central, and then also, that's in the Central region. And then also you have the Asin North at the time. And then 63 years Christian, businessman. Let's look at the next person. Joe Oseusu, Ashanti region, MP Bekwai, first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, 4-time Member of Parliament. He contested as an independent candidate at the point. He's a lawyer, Christian, 61 years. Then the final one, Dr. Yaose Duchum, also Ashanti region, MP Bosomchi constituency, 2-time MP, 7th and 8th Parliament, Minister of Education. Educationist, Christian, 59 years. There's the last one. The last one is the person that a number of people are saying he's in pole position. I don't know if your respondents also put him in the pole position. Dr. Matthew Poko Prempeh, MP Menchia South, 7th, 8th Parliament, Energy Minister, former Education Minister, the boss of Dr. Yaose Duchum at the time. Medical Dr. Christian is the youngest amongst them, the names that have come up. About 6 names, and there are more, right, depending on who you talk to. But do your respondents also put him at pole position?
Well, a very interesting analysis. For what I have, when you put any Ashanti aside, the names that have featured frequently are those that you have showed. In fact, what is missing from what I have versus what you have just shown is the inclusion of lawyer John Kuma, Dr. Lawyer John Kuma, the current Ajusu MP, whose name also features greatly amongst the people I'm speaking to. But I mean, you are right. Kennedy Japan has been largely preferred by many of those who decided to mention names, partly because they think his inclusion on the ticket will do a very good work for the NPP. Yeah, along with these names that you have shown. So you are right. You are right.
I see. Professor Kwabena, let me bring you at this point, because even with Dr. Matthew Poko Prempeh, we have seen some pictures of him kneeling down and so on. I'm sure you've seen that. Professor Sapon, you've seen that as well. Let's put that on the screen. Yes. That picture that surfaced not too long ago of him kneeling down and all, when some people made the point that it was meant to sort of respond to those who said that he is arrogant, he is pompous, and so because most of the time in Ghana you have to present yourself as a humble person, so he sought to do that. Professor Kwabena, let me take you on that one.
Well, I think that I'm not sure, but why those images are out. It could be coincidence. It could be that in his own dealings with some people, he had actually put that posturing, and so the pictures are now going out. As to whether he's pompous or he's arrogant, as others would say, I don't know that, because I have known him personally. I know Napo personally. I haven't thought that he was, arrogant. And I'm sure that his communicators, if given opportunity, should actually put that out. Perhaps public's perception of the way he speaks, perhaps the way he carries himself, might communicate that particular, perception. But I'm sure that given opportunity, they should be able to put it out. But of course, if that is the reason why he's been seen as, or he's been shown in pictures as kneeling here and there and sort of bowing, I think that it probably would be a wrong way to communicate. Because if people have an assumption, a perception about you being arrogant, the response is not to be seen as perhaps kneeling or bowing to counter that. I think what matters is the communication that you put out. Of course, kneeling and bowing is part of communication, but I'm supposed to think, or I would think that, you rather put communications out to let people know that your personality in the whole of your time is about respect for everyone else. But of course, everyone has the way they speak, the way they carry themselves, and that might have actually sounded differently to people. And if that's the case, you probably would want to say that you're not like that. And as a result, you'd want to reflect in the eyes of the people in a kind of different way, but not to kneel and bow. That would be counterproductive. I don't think that would rather communicate to people that you have changed. It rather would say that you probably have done so just to win the ticket. I think that they could put a presser out, if that's the case, to let people know that all those who know you perfectly well and have dealings with you know that that is
see.
not your personality to be pompous or to be.
But you can understand why
so
people will read such meanings into some of these pictures when it comes out. And as we go on, we'll put it on shortly. In Ghana, you have this approach where politicians want to be seen as humble. Professor Kobi-Mensah, God-fearing. They'll be visiting churches more as we go into 2024, and then also be braiding hair and pounding fufu, and drinking all sorts of things just to be seen as humble, So I'm sure that's what communicates, at least, the perception that people would have about such pictures when they come up. And you cannot blame people for making those conclusions, is it not?
Absolutely, Alfred. It's not only in Ghana. We have, in communication, we have something called cues, short cues that people use to measure who someone is. Unfortunately, when you're a straight talker, people find you as such. When you are down to your principles, people might find you as such. But when people come into contact with you, it's a completely different picture. Now, I think that who he is must be communicated, other than doing things for people to think that perhaps you've turned around, which they might not believe, because the period within which those pictures are being shown the period that we are discussing you being in that frame of being considered as a vice presidential candidate. And so it might sound or it might seem counterproductive because they might think that it's not genuine. But I don't think that would in any way also influence the candidates or the top of the ticket's decision. Because whether you're kneeling in public or not, the decision is for the candidate to choose. And I'm sure the candidate knows the behavior, the characteristics, the attributes, the attitudes of any of these candidates that they might consider. If they think that you are the best pair to, or you are the best person to pair them, they would know that your attitude, behavior actually, complement theirs. And I don't think that the public images of you kneeling and bowing would be part of their consideration, because obviously it is the sole consideration of the presidential, candidate, which is in this case Dr. Bawumia. So the public kneeling and the public bowing and things, I don't think that it would go anywhere to influence. If the candidate himself feels that, of course, beyond the public perception, you are the best candidate that they can pair with. I'm sure they might have made their decisions already, not the kneeling and bowing.
A very, very, very interesting point that you made there, Professor Kobi-Mensah. Professor Smartsapon, I'll take you on this one, just a brief one, on this analysis of trying to put up a certain image, as we have seen in the past, of Ghanaian politicians wanting to endear themselves to the populace, looking humble and, you know, doing all sorts of things just to get the appeal.
Yes, right. So I go along with Professor Kobi-Mensah's analysis. The point I want to make, unless there's a different video we are referring to, but the one we saw, the picture we saw, he was kneeling in front of the president.
Yes, in fact, there are two pictures. One kneeling in front of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Take a look at this. And then the other, this is the one on the screen now. I'm sure you are watching TV now, so you see that. All right? That's him kneeling in front of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And there's another one he's kneeling before President Akufo-Addo.
Okay.
Right? So that's what is on the screen there.
Yes, that's fine. So you should do a lot of communication. Sometimes if it is not usual of you and you are seen doing it at a certain time, the conclusion would mean that perhaps you are doing so to secure the slot. Be as it may, you have to be who you are. What would be taken into consideration at the political party level would be your ability to bring some numbers onto the table come 2024. Your achievements for the party, how much or how well the party people believes in you and all those things. I'm sure the flag bearer will take all those things into consideration and not the public apparent humility or whatever you would want to put out. It is not in all instances that we need people who are just humble. Our local politicians or Ghanaian politicians, some really thinks that at all instances, we want to see somebody who is humble, this, that. But at this critical point, Alfred, we really need economic turnaround.
Right.
We have problems at hand and want solutions to them. Okay. So yes, you will go the apparent humility way and all those things, but please, it is the questions that are begging for answers that we want to see people who are putting themselves up ready to answer them for us.
Okay. Professor Smartsapon, I thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. And he is a political scientist. Also to you as well, Professor Kobi-Mensah. Thank you. Is a lecturer, senior lecturer, University of Ghana Business School, some political marketing strategist. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Coming up next, in the Western region, an invasion of the Takoradi Cemetery by looters is causing fear and panic in the area, as well as raising public health concerns. And we're going to be hearing from some public health professionals as we go on here on Ghana Tonight. But take a look at this, because residents of Takoradi in the Western region of Ghana, they're currently living in fear after news of grave looting in one of the biggest cemeteries, that's the Takoradi Cemetery, broke. Now, some of the bodies have gone missing, while some have had vital parts removed. It's a very familiar story, but others have had their coffins destroyed by the looters. Reports indicate over 100 graves have been looted. Now, the Second-D Takoradi Metro Authority is saying it intends to deal with the situation, and my colleague Rama Smith has been talking to the municipal head, who's been talking about this rather worrying development in that area. Take a look.
We are going to weed the place. By Friday, Saturday, we'll get prisoners to go and clear the place. It's bushy. Then I'll talk with management so that we can get security over there. These are, some are long-term measures and some are short-term measures. We'll get the security, we'll get security and be paying them. And we are going to fix a fee, let's say maintenance fee, for people who have their graves there, both Second-D and then Takoradi, so that yearly you pay a token. When you pay the token, then we'll use that one to maintain the place. Probably if the money is there, we can even put lights over there. I will sacrifice again. I'll get my boys. they will go, they should listen, and they should see. When we get them, if you are not careful, if I'm not there, what they will do to the one that they arrested, I can't tell. What they will do to him is God who knows, and them. Because you can't sacrifice yourself to go and arrest somebody who is doing this dubious work. 3 a.m., then you bring him to court or bring that fellow to court, and they caution him and discharge him. It's very painful.
Because going to be having some public health expert join us on what the danger this poses, especially to the people in that area. But we're going to go for this quick break, because right after this quick break, we're getting to the House of Legislature. I'm talking about Parliament, where proponents of the anti-LGBTQ plus bill are not enthused about what they say is a deliberate attempt by the majority side in Parliament to frustrate the passage of the bill. Tonight, Sam George, one of the sponsors of this bill, MP for Ningo Prampam constituency, is going to be joining us right after this quick break on this matter, because the chair of the committee considering this bill has also been speaking to my colleague, Komala Kloche. So we'll hear from both sides and where exactly the issues really lie, and also recall what the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagman, has said about this bill and the fact that it should be passed before this session of Parliament ends on December 22nd. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
Serene, pristine, natural. This is Maha Beach Resort, set on the seafront in Atuabo and the rich oil and gas hub of the western region. The warmth of the resort can fill your soul. Our well-receptive environment brings you home away from home. The strand of beauty detailing the state-of-the-art facility makes your stay even more fun within the well-thought-through architectural features, hosting all sorts of fun games. Maha Beach Resort has an assortment of packages for all occasions. Maha Beach Resort, redefining indigenous hospitality.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chese na me ankasa me period no say problems wom tina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chese na nya asem ketewa na mkwan point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo meduro me fae no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nuru a ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay e free bra wo di end point wa dance am me call you no me Johnson sema na enkoyie empeso na my emre nyina na magina sebema na me no be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
For me David, I have me jine a Franco Trading Enterprise at Dabraka branch. Eba phones ni accessories ene nyema keka ho nyina dia onim say Franco Trading Enterprise is number 1. Your television set from 24 inches to 65 inches. Air condition from 1.5 horsepower to 2.5 horsepower. Your CCTV cameras, Bluetooth speakers, your phone covers, protectors, pen drives, hard drive, iPhone, Samsung, Infinix, Huawei. It's a full beer open with Yasima Fanebia. Pura Franco Trading Enterprise. Franco Trading Enterprise. Phones papa, television papa, air conditions papa, accessories papa nina.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program, providing an enlightened analysis of the key issues facing us as a country.
The key points of the stories that matter with the people who matter.
This is Key Points, the #1 award-winning television news analysis program. Every Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. on TV3 and on 3FM 92.7. TV3, first in news.
This week on a top intern, creativity reaches new heights as our candidates tackle an innovation challenge. Witness the birth of groundbreaking ideas and a clash of inventive minds. With evictions looming, the pressure intensifies.
God first made use of voice automation. Preach, where he said, "Let there be light."
And there was light. Hey.
Your target audience is completely wrong.
Do you have a grant to make it available to them for free?
No, but then the government...
The government has also cash-strapped.
Whose innovation will reign supreme and whose journey will take an unexpected turn? Join us for a riveting episode where sparks fly, ideas soar, and the decisions become more crucial than ever. Don't miss the drama, the brilliance, and the suspense as the Top Intern transforms into an innovation hub. The Top Intern, today's learners, tomorrow's leaders.
The Top Intern shows Thursdays at 9 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by Pepsodent Charcoal and Lemon Infused Formula and Pepsodent Natural Herbal Formula.
Enterprise Computing Limited. Adansi Travels. Center for Higher International Education Facilitation.
So secure your spot, grab a ticket, slots are filling up fast. Come and join me, Helen, and the rest of the 3FM crew for the all-white party.
Yeah, I pull up on the future, screaming hallelujah.
Don't forget, it's the 28th of December. It's a Thursday. You don't want to miss out on this ultimate party experience. It's a party of all parties this December. Come in your all white and let's party together.
3FM's 28th December all white party. I will be there. See you when I see you.
Into the future with you.
For all your exclusives, 3 Entertainment will be there to capture the fun, the glitz, the glamour, and the most exciting moments on the night.
It's a 3FM all-white party on December 28th at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel, starting at 7 p.m. Please call 0531 100 927 and 0532 200 927 for your table reservations today.
Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. Now, the proponents of the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill, also known as the Anti-LGBTQ+ Bill, they are fuming over the inability of Parliament to take the bill at its consideration stage. Now, the bill seeks to proscribe LGBTQ+ and related activities, propaganda, advocacy for or promotion of LGBT and related activities. Now, let's go back into time, because earlier this year, the Speaker of Parliament, during a meeting with Christian leaders, was very clear that there is some level of frustration because at the time, the committee that is considering this bill was delaying. And so he questioned why the delay by the committee. Take a look.
Roma locuta complete, causa finita. Yes, Rome has spoken and the matter is ended. So please, committee members that will refer the bill to, we want the report. Don't be intimidated by any person. I made this statement when I was a member of the European Parliament, European ACP Parliament in Brussels. Now we have 2 of our members who happen to be leading our committee, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, who are handling the bill. And since we referred it to them up to date, we have not heard anything.
I've reminded him many times on the floor of the House. What are the challenges you are meeting? Report to us. If you take action against them, say, oh, because I'm MPP. That's why he's taking action against me. I'm NDC. Because he's taking action against me. Because he's not in my party. That kind of division, that is not the purpose of politics.
And following up on this frustration that he expressed earlier in the year, a few weeks ago, he implored on the chair of the committee to ensure that the bill is tabled before the House for consideration. Take a look.
Next week, be sure that we'll have to take the bill on the, the most important bill I'm referring to. Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, however, Mr. Speaker had directed us to iron out some creases. So I've discussed with the ranking member, and very soon we'll see you in chambers before the most important bill is discussed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Most important bill, and I insist that next week we have to take it and finish it. It's been pending for a long time, and questions are being raised. You know, when you delay in doing some of these things, it creates suspicion. And we know how dear our people hold the critical nature of that bill. And so we should please move to make sure it is passed.
So this was a few weeks ago with the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Sumanakis for Bagman, imploring on the Honourable Kwame Enyimadu-Antwi, that's the MP you heard responding to the Speaker's question about the most important bill before the House now, Member of Parliament for the Asante Achim Central constituency. And also he is the chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee of Parliament that is considering this bill. Now, this is what happened in Parliament today about this bill. Take a look.
And the agreement is we end on questions and we continue tomorrow. We have the whole day tomorrow. We have the whole day tomorrow for other businesses.
This is something that will take us 1 hour for 3 weeks. What is the problem of this august House with dealing with this bill, which matters to the Ghanaian people?
Well, so just a brief on what happened and on the floor. Now, outside of the floor of Parliament, the sponsors of this bill addressed the press. Take a look.
She's one of them. The same lady who went to stand on radio and said that I had taken money from LGBTQ. Let's go. And he said I shouldn't mention her name as a pro-LGBTQ person.
She's one of them. Continue.
She went and sat on the media and said she knows that I've taken money from LGBTQ people. She's about else. He took her father to come and apologize to me.
Well, Sam George is Member of Parliament for the Ningo Pram constituency. He's the man you just saw there, visibly livid about what happened in Parliament. He's joining us on the telephone right now. Thank you so much, Sam George, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. But hold on a bit for me, because the chair of the Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee has been responding to some of the things that you said. That's the Honourable Kwame Enyimadu-Antwi. You spoke to my colleague, Komla Kloche, about the concerns that you raised before Parliament. Take a look.
Leadership had not drawn my attention that we should go ahead and prosecute or do consideration on this bill. At any rate, this is not the only bill that is at the consideration stage. The interstate succession bill has been there almost the whole of our meeting, and that starts from page 21. Nobody thinks of prosecuting this, and then we have the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values at page 29. When Speaker called me at the office, if we start today, there is no way we can finish these amendments before this meeting ends. So why should I start? If at any rate, he said it's their bill and he should not accuse the wrong person, that if any person mounts the seat, nobody has said that he wanted to go on. If the leadership had agreed, I prosecute what the leadership would decide to do. And if leadership agrees that we have to go ahead and do the consideration, so be it. But there are other creases that we need to iron out, and we need one meeting to finish up.
So that's Kwame Anyimredu, chair of this committee considering this bill. And, well, Mr. George, you heard him there making the point that this is not the only bill at the consideration stage. The interstate succession bill is there. And that even if the process should start today, there is no way this bill is going to be passed into law before this session of Parliament ends on August 22. That's the chair of the committee talking.
The chairman of the committee is not the sponsor of the bill. It is not his bill. His job as committee chairman comes to an end after his committee has presented his report. Amendments are not the business and sole preserve of the chairman. If you stop arrogating to himself powers that he doesn't have. Today he's all over the media granting interviews. Where was he when the people who voted for him asked him to be in Parliament today? Where was he when he was supposed to earn his salary today? Was he in Parliament? Every day the bill is going to be taken, he's missing. He thinks we are kept. He should come on the floor of the House and come and tell us that. He should come on the floor and come and tell the Speaker that the bill cannot be passed. Who is it to determine whether the bill can be passed or not? What powers does Kwame Anyimredu have to think that he can determine when a bill is passed or when a bill is not passed? I mean, people should stop thinking that they are gods or they have some power that they don't have. They should stop it. The funny games he's playing, he should stop it. We are fed up with being diplomatic about the truth. They should stop playing this game. For those of them who see this bill as a money-making venture, they should stop it. If his committee has submitted this report, there are amendments to be taken. The Speaker says he's going to take it. He doesn't preside over the House. He can't determine what gets completed or doesn't get completed. And he should attend Parliament. That's what his constituents voted for him for.
Well, I say, you say that some MPs see this bill as a money-making venture. What do you mean?
Absolutely. And we'll begin to name and shame them. They shouldn't worry. We're getting there.
I see, but if you say that you are not going to be diplomatic about the truth anymore, what's going on? What have you been diplomatic about all this while?
What happened in Parliament today is clear evidence of what is going on. The deliberate sabotage, the intentional subterfuge to delay this bill because they want to please people in high office. Then the people in high office will all be kicked out. And we've been patient for very long. This bill came into Parliament in 2021. 2021. Maybe should tell you why it has taken this long. He should tell you why. What does he mean by the bill cannot be passed in its current state? Then he means he's a failure as a committee chairman and must resign as the committee chairman. If he's had this bill for over 12 months at his committee level and he can't complete a bill that has less than 30 clauses, he can't complete work on it, he should go and read the standing orders of Parliament. The standing orders of Parliament say when a bill is referred to a committee, you shouldn't spend more than 3 months there. He's in clear violation of our standing orders. If we want to talk procedure, we will talk procedure. Because we've been quiet and diplomatic, let's work on it. If you know, like I said, those of them who see it as a money-making venture, they will vomit that money. Whatever money they're taking, they will vomit it.
I see, but so what are you going to do now beyond this, the anger that you express in Parliament today about what's going on with this bill and the lack of commitment to have it passed? Beyond today, what next?
Well, the Speaker has given an indication that he will take this bill himself. He will preside over the House himself and take it. When the Speaker does it, they should walk out. Since that become their stock in trade. Since they walked out on their own budgets, when the Speaker also tables this one, they should walk out and let Ghanaians see their true colors. They should walk out. The Speaker will take this bill before the Parliament of Ghana rises on the 22nd of December. He will take the bill.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. is a member of parliament for the Ningo Pram Pram constituency on the sponsors of this anti-LGBTQ plus bill, Sam Nate George there. Thank you for joining us on Ghana Tonight. And there's going to be more on this in subsequent bulletins, and then a number of reactions as well to the current state of this bill. On behalf of the team, I want to say thank you for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. Join us same time tomorrow. I am Alfred Okansi.